now that the Oregon State Police are there. Can you tell me why, since I understand you would ask for the Oregon State Police to be there from the get-go, why it took so long for them to come?
Well, I think that's a great question. And what we've been asking for is both the city and the state to do their job for over 60 days. Again, what we see is we've had over 245 different injuries to law enforcement officers that could have been prevented had they done their job like every other responsible city in the country has done. When they partner with federal, state, and local law enforcement partners, they can get the job done. We see it happening in Portland over the last 2 nights. Oregon State Police have come in, as well as Portland Police have come in as well. And we see that the violence is dropping. I want to be clear, there is still violence going on in Portland. There was before DHS arrived, and there still continues to be, but we do see it at a much lower level. We're happy about that. We're looking forward to further progress on this front. But again, to your point, we wish it would have occurred long before 60 days of violent criminal activity.
What I don't understand is that, Mr. Secretary, is the fact that when I was a DA, state police, if there was a problem, they would offer mutual assistance immediately. What took so long? Were they prevented from coming in? Was that political? I mean, it is contraindicated. Law enforcement is all about mutual assistance. Were they stopped from coming in?
Absolutely, and we see that mutual assistance across the country. In Portland, there's an environment that is fostered there, starting with the mayor, as well as other local leaders. And if you back up to 2018, we had an ICE facility, DHS ICE facility, that was laid siege to for over 28 days, where the local police did not help our employees get in and out of that building, and we had to send in federal law enforcement officers. So there is an environment in Portland. I understand that. We're not talking about peaceful protesting. The department supports that. We're talking about violent criminals directing violent activity towards a courthouse. The city council passed a resolution about a week and a half ago that told Portland police, not only can you not coordinate with the federal law enforcement, you can't even come to their aid. So if there's a life situation incident with a federal law enforcement officer, Portland police cannot assist.
All right. Pathetic, really, really pathetic. But let's talk about the Democratic National Convention. It's over 100 law enforcement agencies are now pulling out of their initial offer to assist if there's any problem in Milwaukee, based upon a civilian oversight commission saying you can't use tear gas, pepper spray, or various other crowd control measures. Number one, why is law enforcement across the country required to kind of live by the Marquis, the Queensberry rules, and yet the protesters are outgunning and have more munitions than law enforcement? And number two, will the feds be at the Democratic National Convention to assist in crowd control?
Well, again, I think it's very concerning and very dangerous, again, when we put politics over public safety. And a lot of the national debate that we're having regarding law enforcement, really tying the hands of law enforcement, is concerning. You certainly see that in Milwaukee, but you see that in other cities as well. So when we talk about less than lethal munitions, it's a critical part of what law enforcement does. That is actually trying to de-escalate the situation. You do it for officer safety as well. And so when there are police departments out there that prohibit that use, you're putting law enforcement officers in danger, but you're also putting the public that they serve in danger as well. So we want to make sure that we have all the tools for law enforcement to use, particularly in Milwaukee, but elsewhere. But at the end of the day, when we talk about the DNC that's taking place in Milwaukee, the federal government will be there. It is a national security event, so there will be a heavy federal presence there. And we're going to make sure that those venues are secure, as we do in a number of other situations around the country every day.
All right. I understand that there are over 9,000 federal facilities in the United States. Do you expect to see more Portlands?
Well, we hope not. What we see across the country is a good partnership with state and local law enforcement. But what we will do, what we continue to do, and what we have done over the past several weeks is if we get specific threat, specific intelligence that a federal facility is being targeted, we're going to make sure that we have the resources there to protect that facility along with state and local law enforcement. We've done that in Seattle recently, and we continue to do that in other cities when we get specific information. And of course, we're still in Portland. I want to make sure that folks understand that DHS will remain in Portland until we can be assured that that courthouse is safe and secure night after night. That is our charge. The Federal Protective Service, as you indicated, protects over almost 9,000 facilities, and they will continue to protect the federal courthouse in Portland as they have since 1997.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask you one last question, and I have 10 seconds. They asked the feds to clean the graffiti off the courthouse. Did you guys agree to do that? The graffiti that the anarchists put there.
Yeah, so it is a federal courthouse. We're going to do that, but we're going to do that once the courthouse is secure. What we're not going to do is we're not going to clean up the courthouse only to have it damaged and have it violated again. So we're going to make sure that it's safe and secure before we do any of that.
All right, Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for being with us on Justice Tonight.
Thank you.
All right, and a lot of developing stories to discuss with my next guest, so let's get right to it. Director of the